Hi you guys, my name is Jason and I just want to start off by welcoming you guys back. I just want to say to everyone in your small groups, hi, welcome, thank you guys for showing up. Hopefully you have been able to have a great time catching up with the different members of your small group, talking with people, saying hi to them, maybe hanging out. Guys, I know you probably lost in some basketball, that's okay. Have some fun with it. Otherwise, hopefully everything has gone well. You guys have enjoyed your week. Today we're going to be getting ready to kick off week 2 in our sermon series. James went ahead and went over during one night, Imago Day, made in the image of God, and what that looks like in our lives. But before we continue on, I just want to give you guys this time to pause the video if you guys have not already prayed. So if you guys have not prayed for tonight, take a pause right here. I'll wait for you guys and then we'll jump into it. Okay, you guys, welcome back. Thank you for taking that time to stop and pray and prepare your hearts for tonight's message. First off, thank you guys for asking about my weekend. I know that was something that you guys were so curious about, so I'll go ahead, I'll tell you about my weekend. So my weekend, I got to hang out with some of the guys. For those of you who don't know, for the last couple weeks, I've been out with a concussion and I have not been able to work. I've not been able to be here with you guys, been able to go back to school, hang out with my friends. And so this last weekend was my first weekend back and I loved it. Me and a couple of my guys, we were able to sit down, play some board games, be able to laugh, mess around, joke. If I'm being real honest, we probably didn't even play the board game properly. We were just laughing so much, having a great time. So I absolutely loved it. But one of those guys who I played with, his name was Caleb Irwin. One of my close friends, absolutely love that man. Matter of fact, that guy, I got a story about him. Last summer camp, this last summer, we were playing a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I was against him. So for those of you who don't know, I may be a tad competitive, just a small little bit. But we were playing, we're having a great time. I win my first round. I ended up playing Caleb in the second round. And as I'm sitting there and I'm getting ready to play him, we're going back and forth. I start to get frustrated. My team's losing. I really want to step it up. And so I start going and going. I'm pushing myself. Well, the ball ends up going out of bounds. And I chase after the ball. I hit the wall hard. I come off. I push off. I'm sprinting back on the court. And I start getting aggressive. Well, for myself and Caleb, we've played enough sports together and we've hung out enough together that he knew that I was getting too competitive and I was going over the top. So immediately, as soon as I pop off that wall, I'm coming out hot. Caleb goes, "Jason." I'm like, "Yeah, well, chill, Bill, what up?" And he goes, "Dude, calm down. Take a breath. You're good. It's just a basketball game." And in that moment, I was like, dang, Caleb. Like, thank you for being willing to call me out. Because in that moment, I got so heated. I got so caught up into a game I didn't even think about what was going on or what my actions were doing. But because Caleb and I knew each other enough, because we were able to have such a close friendship and relationship, that he was able to know my tics, know my tells, know what was going on, and he knew how to confront me and tell me, like, "Jason, dude, step back, relax, you're okay, it's just a basketball game. We could get right back into it, we could be competitive, but just take a moment, catch your breath, you'll be all good." And so tonight, that's what I want to talk to us about. God-honoring friendships. How to keep God the center of our friendships, of our relationships. I was talking with a student from a different campus just yesterday. As I was speaking with her, I ended up seeing her at a coffee shop, and I was just kind of catching up with her, and I was talking with her. And when we were there and I was talking, I was just asking her, like, "Hey, how your friends been? You've been able to find some people? You've been able to hang out with them?" And she goes, "Well, Jason, if I'm being real honest with you, I really don't have those friends that you're talking about. I know people, I have acquaintances, I know people who I like, hang out with, but I don't have someone who's actually there for me, nor am I there for them." And so as I was talking with her, it got me thinking, like, what is a true friendship? What is that relationship? What is worth fighting for? Who's worth fighting for? And so today I'm going to just we're going to be starting off in 1 Samuel chapter 18, and we're going to be jumping around. We're going to be talking about David, Saul, and Jonathan. And we're going to be going through 3 chapters. So I'm going to give you guys a lot of context, a lot of overview, so just bear with me. But as you guys are turning there, 1 Samuel 18, 1 verses 4 says this. It says, "After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From the day Saul kept David with him, and did not, or from that day, Saul kept David with him, and did not let him return home from his family. Jonathan made a covenant with David, because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took off his robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic, and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. So that's going to set the scene for you guys right here. What this is meaning is that David just killed Goliath. Coming back, he's being appointed leader. He's being appointed throughout the kingdom of Solomon. And when he came back, Jonathan ended up meeting with David. Ended up immediately falling in love, having that close connection, that relationship with him, just as we do so often. That we can either be playing a sport and it's our teammate, we could be going off to a summer camp or a retreat, or just be walking down the side of the road and end up meeting someone. It's an immediate connection within that person. And I truly wish that that's all it took to become such close friends, that we were able to sit there and be there for one another, calling each other out and celebrating with each other in the good times. But I realized that there's so much work and effort that's required to go into a friendship. And so right here, I'm going to continue down onto chapters 19 and into chapter 20 of 1 Samuel. To give you guys a little bit of background about what's going on right here. God has now left Saul, has abandoned him, and is giving his favor to David. And because now David has the Lord's favor and not Saul, Saul's noticed this and has now become jealous of David. So jealous, matter of fact, that they were in there, sitting in his room. David's playing his harp, trying to soothe Saul. But the tormenting spirit came upon him, and he was so angry that David was in the Lord's favor and not him, that he picked up his spear and he threw it, tried to impale David. This didn't just happen once, this happened twice. And eventually David got up and he ran away. He fled to Samuel. And Saul was so angry and was so determined to kill this man because he was in the Lord's favor and yet Saul was not, that he sent his troops, his first wave of troops, to try and go capture David. But yet the Lord's spirit was so heavy in there, and that there was a spirit of prophecy going on where Samuel was at, where David was hiding, that those troops started to actually prophesy in the middle of the streets. But Saul would not give up. He was wanting David dead. And so he sent a second wave of troops. The exact same thing happened. The spirit of prophecy came over him and they started to prophesy right then and there. But Saul wasn't done. He said, you know what, I'm sending a third wave. Sends a third wave of troops to go kill David, to bring him back so he could kill him. Exact same thing. They start prophesying. So Saul said, you know what, I will do this myself. He goes to go chase down David. Ends up that the spirit of prophecy falls over Saul himself, and Saul ends up stripping naked, laying in the streets prophesying, and people were so confused. They said, what, is even Saul a prophet? A prophet? Sorry, not Pharisee, a prophet. Gotta make sure I get that right. And so during that time, David ended up using that as a chance to escape, and he went back to Jonathan, because in verses 1-4, as we were just read, that they immediately fell in love, that they took a vow for one another, that they were going to be there, binding with one another. And so David goes to Jonathan, Jonathan, what's going on? Why is your father trying to kill me? Have I wronged him in some manner? Have I done something that I'm not supposed to do? If so, you kill me now. If not, tell me what's going on. And Jonathan's over there pleading like, hey, I swear, like, he would have told me that this is what's going on. We're very close. There's nothing going on. I don't know what you're talking about. You tripping out, my guy. Like, he is not going to kill you. Get that through your mind. But David swore to him and he said, trust me, he's gonna kill me. And so he said, if you are truly my friend, then when Saul comes back for this Harvest Moon Festival that they have, to ask him, because I will be gone, and to tell him that I'm going to be out with my family. And that if Saul gets angry, you'll know he'll want to kill me. And then you come and give me some warning, some signal to let me know that I have to flee and run away to save my own life. But that if he's okay with it and Saul does not become angry, then it will be the sign that I'm not going to die, that Saul's not trying to kill me. And so before we even jump into Samuel 20 with all that context of chapter 19 and some parts of chapter 20, what I want to get at is this. Initially, they found each other. They found some connections just like us. We find some hobbies or some things that we have in common that start us off with a conversation. We start to talk, we start to hang out, we start to, like, hey, dude, I like the same thing. You what? You a Cowboys fan? We'll get them next year. Unfortunately, they got destroyed by the Niners. We find stuff that we have in common. But then if we truly want to gather our friendship and make it a tighter friendship, we have to take it the next step forward. We have to be there for each other, be willing to not only be vulnerable and confess to one another about what's going on, what we're able to do, continue to fight during the hard times. That when your friend is there and either disagrees with you, thinks what you're doing is stupid and cannot be there to support you, or wants to just be like, you know what, dude, I'm sorry, we just ain't getting along anymore. That during those hard seasons, that you guys are willing to stick together, that you guys are willing to fight it out, that you're not going to let some scuff or some scrimmage or maybe even some gossip that has gotten into your friendship somehow separate you guys. You're not going to let that divide you guys. Instead, you're going to come together. You're going to talk about it. You're going to discuss it. You're going to figure out what's going on. And you're going to continue to push, work through it. Just as Jonathan and David did. Jonathan was swearing to David, he's not trying to kill you. He would tell me that. I got his ear. I'm right there close to him. And David's like, no, you're wrong. He is trying to kill me. So verse 20, we're going to go 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 2 through 4. Okay, this is coming off of David pleading with him, saying, what have I done wrong? What crime have I committed? Jonathan starts off in verse 2. It says, never, Jonathan replied. You're not going to die. Look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without me knowing. Why would he hide this from me? It is so. But David took an oath and said, your father knows very well that I have found favor in your eyes. And he said to himself, Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved. Yet as surely as the Lord lives, and as you live, there is only one step between me and death. Jonathan said to David, whatever do you want me to do, I'll do for you. That friendship, the closeness was there, saying, you know what, even if I am wrong, I'm here to support you and I want to be there with you. Do we agree on everything? No. Do you and your friends sit there and like, oh, dude, everything's peachy and perfect and nothing ever goes wrong. We are always in agreement and we always do the same thing? No. But when it comes down to it, are you willing to put that foot forward, to step forward and make some sacrifices, to be willing to talk and communicate and be with that person because you care enough about them that you want to continue your friendship? We continue down, just as I was mentioning, Jonathan ends up talking with Saul. He's gone at the harvest feast. He tells Saul that David's gone, went back to go visit his family. Saul ends up getting furious, starts cussing out Jonathan. He got so angry that Jonathan ran away and that he starts to defend David, that he ends up picking up his own spear against his own son and throws it, trying to kill his own son. He was grieved. And so Jonathan ended up not coming back to the Harvest Moon festival. He ended up later going out to the field just as he promised David. And he ends up shooting 3 arrows. Pop. 3 arrows. Okay, I'll do a third. You got it. Legolas. Shoots 3 arrows. Goes out there, has a boy retrieve them. The boy then, as he's going out to retrieve the arrows, Jonathan says, no, the arrow's on the other side. Go further. Signaling to David that he's going to get killed and that he needs to flee and run away. The boy brings the arrows back, not suspecting anything, not knowing what's going on, and he leaves, and Jonathan and David, weeping, say their goodbye. But the thing I want you to get out of this, that's 3 chapters of context in scripture heaviness, but what I want you to understand and see is the friendship that has been developed within it. It started off small, with people figuring out what they liked, hanging out together. Then they had to fight for one another. That within a true friendship, there's certain qualities that need to be attained. There's trust, there's loyalty, there's commitment, there's humility, there's kindness. That when you're looking for a friend, someone who you're willing to put the time and effort into, when they don't text you, that you're willing to text them because you care that much about them. That if you don't want to go off and do what they're doing, as long as it's not ill will against us according to scriptures, instead of just your own preferences, that you go out and you do whatever they are wanting to do. Not because you like what they're doing, not because you want to do what they're doing, but because you want to be with them. You're dying to yourself in order to be there to encourage and uplift that other person. But it's a two-way street. It's vice versa. That your friend does the same for you. That when the hard times come, when a family member passes away, when you fail, when you don't get into the college that you're wanting to get into, that they're there to help you walk through that. That they're able to give you the wise counsel that you need when you don't know who to turn to. But also they're able to be there and just laugh and play some board games with you when all you want to do is just have a good time and hang out. And so right now, message is probably run along. Do I apologize? Yes. But what I want you guys to do is this for me. If you guys didn't hear anything else that I've said tonight, I want you guys to realize that God first and foremost needs to be center of everything. Of your life, of your relationships, your friendships, your family, finances. He needs to be the center of everything. And then from there, moving on of what does a true friend look like? What are the qualities in a friend that you're looking at? If you were to write down qualities, matter of fact, that's what I want you guys to do. After this video ends, when you guys are in your small groups, I want you guys to write down 5 qualities of a friend. That you said, you know what, if a friend has these 5 qualities, that's what I want. That's a friend who I would want to be with. And then share them with the group. But then there's a little catch to it. Do you meet those 5 qualities that you just wrote down? That if you were the one, if someone were to come up and tell you about those 5 qualities that you just wrote down, do you meet that standard? Can you uplift to the friendship that you're wanting? Now, I don't want you guys to just cop out or cheap out and just do some week 5 because you think you can meet them and you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm doing it to do it. Friendships will impact the rest of your life. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. They have that much of an impact upon us. So I leave you with that. Who are your friends? What are you willing to sacrifice for your friends? And are you willing to put in the effort? Thank you guys. I hope you guys have a great night. Hopefully you guys have a great time out there in your small groups. We'll see you guys next Wednesday in homes, in small groups. Freshman, sophomore, you guys will be joining myself and the other sophomore leaders at Irma's house. Junior and seniors, you'll be joining Noah over at the Bievenue's house, both guys and girls. We'll catch you guys later. Have a great night.